What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of a VR Esports podcast. As usual, I'm Taquito on screen mode because technical difficulties, joined by Achilles, and today we have a special guest, Codiak. You want to talk a little bit about yourself, what you do,
Yep.
what you're known
I
for?
competed in Pavlov, and that is pretty much the only place I ever competed because, as a lot of people who know me would know, I kind of get banned a lot. And I've been banned from pretty much every big league on the planet. And the only game I really ever competed in outside of Pavlov was X8 for these guys right here.
So unfortunately, Odd cannot be with us today because he's busy doing furry stuff. I don't know. But anyways, Codiak, you're more of like an infamous character in the VR esports scene. A lot of
Yep.
people seem to not like you. A lot of people find you hilarious, but would you say the majority of people that you run into dislike you and slander you, or do they more like admire you? What would you
I'd
say?
say more on the positive side. Really, a lot more people than I think actually do like me. The only people who really don't like me are the good old moderators and staff of Discord. So all
Classic.
pretty much any staff member. I don't think I have a single staff member in any big league that is on my side. Maybe one or two. I won't name names, but for the most part, I'm quite well regarded. Even with
I mean,
my
yeah,
history, people kind of just they like to ask me about it and then kind of get friendly, and then it goes on from there.
I can fully agree with that. I mean, as someone who didn't know you before, just the second I heard your name and saw people talk about you, everyone called you the undisputed best Pavlov player and many other extremely fancy titles. So, I mean, it's
Oh,
safe
I'm
to say
sure
you're an
there's some other
extremely
fancy
good player
titles.
in multiple games. But let's start with your
Yeah.
Pavlov history. I'm sure it's a sensitive topic, but do you have anything interesting
Yep.
regarding that?
It was quite an interesting topic, and it's really the story's not really leaked that much into these other communities like Vail, Contractors. I mean, most people they know the general gist of it. I'm the best player. I got banned. I pretty much that's where it all started. That was my main game. But if I really want to go a bit deeper into it, it all started almost 2 years ago now when I first joined Pavlov Champions League, which was for the Quest version of Pavlov. And so it was kind of it was a big community at the time. It was kind of big, but when I joined it, I had no idea about VR esports. Like it was my first time. I thought it was huge. I thought it was way bigger than it was. And
Yeah.
so it kind of got my attention, and well, I sort of started out my very first day with a terrible reputation. I never started with a good reputation. It was on my very first pickup game of Shaq that I thought it was gonna be a weekly thing. I did not have any anticipation that I would make this like part of my life. So I thought it would just be like I'd stay here for a week, troll these guys for a bit, and then move on. And I just kinda I got too much into it. Then I got onto
Yeah.
Nova, which was my first team, and then I got really good, so I got poached by Rect or Deathwish at the time, and so I joined them, and then that was pretty short-lived because I accidentally used an exploit in a match, getting me kicked off that team. I won't really go too much into that, but
Accidentally?
okay, maybe I
I'm
will
sure.
go
I'm
into it
sure.
because yes, I accidentally did exploit. So pretty much, Shaq, it's low quality. The decals and stuff are very low quality, and there's this one part on a map called Vertigo. It was this railing, and the railing was fully. It was a full collision, but it was pretty much the decal of it was like a four four bars connected. So the middle of it looked invisible, but it was a full collision. And the problem was, it was penetrable by high caliber weapons. So during pistol round, when everybody else had 1911s and Glocks, which can't penetrate that railing, I sat behind it with a deagle and had a one way with it, so I
Oh
could shoot
God.
them with a deagle, and they couldn't shoot
Damn.
back at me. So I used that, and I got a 3K with it first round, and then it got brought up to the mods, and that's the history behind my first ban right there.
Is
Your
that where you
first
say
ban.
the cheating allegations started, maybe,
Uh,
or did
the
not that
cheating
not come till
allegations were
contractors?
more like scripts and accusations. This was an exploit, which wasn't isn't on the same like level as the. We'll get into those a bit later, but pretty much Well, it wasn't exactly a ban. It was a 60-day suspension. But when I came back from that suspension, I did not care about Shaq anymore because I went to PC VR. I completely migrated. I had a complete second chance there. And during that migration, I pretty much almost instantly got on a team for VRML, which was Solstice. And I started grinding Pavlov matchmaking until, well, I got Master at some point. And my Shaq history pretty much that fell short because shortly after my 60-day suspension, they hired a new league manager. And this new league manager, he didn't even give me a chance. He just banned me after reading my file. He said, I don't want to deal with those kind of people.
Oh wow.
And so I was just like, well, I waited 60 days. I got
Classic.
screwed over. So yeah. And then they fired that league manager 1 month later. So I literally got perfectly timed screwed over. So I pretty much handled my PC career from there. And after getting on Solstice, we grinded up and we beat every single team except for Rect, which we faced 3 times that season. Each time it was a closer and closer gap. On the first game, I believe it was 22-30. We lost. Then it was 27-30, and then the next time, I think it was 28-27. Even though we got more rounds, we still lost the game. It was 10-9 we won. Or no. It was 9-10 we lost, 10-8 we won, and then 9-10 we lost. Which is one round. That is one round to the closest game you could possibly get if the other game was at 10-9. So yeah, it was a tough game, and we were going to be the first players in I think 4 or 5 seasons that would actually beat Rect. Rect went undefeated for all that time.
That's crazy.
Even though I don't play Pavlov, I've seen that Rect are known as the absolute gods of Pavlov.
Oh yeah,
I don't really think I've seen them lose like a single Pavlov match ever. So I mean, you guys almost beating them definitely sounds impressive.
Yep, they did have a slightly weaker roster, but it was still a pretty peak roster. But when it came down to the finals, that's when the semifinals came in, and we were 1 round off of beating Black Ice. When I made the same mistake I made against Rect, it was the same map. It was 9-9. I was in B-site apartments, and I went to the exact same spot I died in, and I died in there twice. On the first match against Rect, they had the best player in the world at the time, Vision. He just pre-fired, sprayed a full 5 bullets right into me. Like, it was a pre-fire too. I was not used to that stuff, like, at my skill level during the time. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm not letting that happen again. So this time, I'm in apartments again. We have B-site. My team captain traded the site player, and I'm using my how do I say this to make people understand? Well, I guess I'll just call it the Codiak spray, which was my great ability to use the M4, which was kind of a crutch I used, but it was also a really impressive skill the way I used the M4 in Pavlov because I was the only player who knew the recoil pattern to it.
Right.
So I just was suppressing market as the other guys pushed in, and then I got ping swung 1-tapped, and the guy who did it to me had no idea he headshot me. So I tried playing as perfectly as I could. I used all the information I could, and it all came down to the thing we VR players hate most, and that was ping.
Yeah, ping swings.
Yep. That's always that. I
We
mean, that
all
was a
know
topic we talked about in one of the previous
Yeah,
podcast episodes. That
I'm sure that's been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like an excuse that a lot of people use, but it's also like in some games it's a really big issue. Like breachers,
sure.
if you have like too high ping, you just hit like 50 blanks, even though you're hitting headshots only, and it's unplayable for people like in the EU space playing against NA players. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Same thing with
ping
Vail.
is- yeah,
Getting shot
Vail,
around
every
corners
game has
because
a
of the
ping
hit
issue.
span in that game.
Yeah,
In Pavlov, it's
bad.
not as bad. But I
Uh-huh.
guess I'll continue. This is where most of the other communities started figuring out about me because when I lost that game, I like this was like when I thought VR Esports was dead. I mean, and it was. The community was like dying out. This was going to be the last good season anybody played because Rect was at the time they said they were going to retire after that season. And so this was the last chance to just break their streak and to finally have a new team come out on top. And every other game at the time was dead. Breachers hadn't released yet and wasn't a big scene. Vail broke their game completely. This was during the
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 transfer.
Yeah.
And so I just straight up said, well, that's it for my VR career. And I just said I cheated. Just flat out said I cheated. And that's what got my entire team banned. That's what got that got the match disqualified. That made Dream Team come in third place by default. And Solstice was simply no more after that. And right after I did that, I just watched as every server I was in, over maybe the span of an hour, just disappeared from my server list. Every
Oh my
Pavlov-related
God.
server was just
Yeah,
gone
Jesus.
slowly.
I feel like that's a
And
story that a lot of people have heard about too. I could approach
yep,
some random
that's the
like
part
Breacher
everyone
player,
knows about.
right?
The whole
And if I
Solstice ban. That was
mention the name
my
Codiak, people
magnum
bring
opus.
up the ban incident, that happened.
Yep,
So I mean, it's definitely a very known event that a lot of people know about.
yep.
But after
And then
that, right? After that, you played Contractors, right? If I remember
no, right
correctly.
after that, that's where I started Breachers Ranked, and I played
Oh,
that
right. Yeah.
for about 2 months. I got Master in there, which wasn't much of an accomplishment. But I got to meet a lot of different people. I met a lot of people from the Acer and Vail side come
Yeah.
over to there. I met a lot of different like players from tons of different games because Breachers was like it was the new thing. Everybody was converging into this one game. They were all trying it out. Back like I was playing it in season 1, season 2. That's when Contractors, Vail, Rec Room, Pop 1, Pavlov players all started trying out Breachers. And then after about that 2 months, I just quit. I got Master. I thought Master would take longer. I wanted to get good at a new game. I wanted to adapt to it, but just it wasn't for me, and I was already banned
Yeah.
from all the league. So I'm like, well, what do I do
Yeah, of
now?
course.
I'm just playing a ranked game to play a ranked game. I'm not practicing like
Yeah.
all these other players. And that's when I straight up I quit right there. And around early September, that's when I got Contractors and started that whole journey, which I'll just go through it pretty briefly since it was, well, pretty brief. I got good really fast. On my first couple of games, I was already dropping 30s and 40s, and then soon 50s in pub lobbies. Some players thought I was an alt, but quickly disproved that. And I got onto a team pretty quickly. The second best team called God, it was called Anarchy. Can't even remember that team. I wasn't even on it that long. And I
Damn.
eventually, after my first game, which I did really good in, I went positive every map, and then on my last map, I went 30 and 13, which is considered a very good KD, especially for somebody new like me. And I got banned from there because not of any rule breaking
Oh
reasons,
God.
but because of my VRML ban, which I wanted to leave behind. But I guess you had to report on your VRML bans, and I thought only if they were for cheating and exploiting though. Which when I read it, I was like, oh, cheating and exploiting. I didn't do that. I said I was cheating and exploiting. And what made it look worse is the fact that when Astrius, the league manager, looked at my ban, it says for cheating and exploiting. But it didn't say that
Right.
I admitted or false admitted to it. It just flat out said cheating and exploiting. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that doesn't look good. I tried to explain to this guy,
Jeez.
but I don't really want to go into how bad of a person he is. But
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fine. But then you
yeah,
played Veil
that's my
too,
own
right?
experiences with
This
league
is
managers.
yeah. But this is stuff that we know a bit more about, me and Takedo at least, because we don't really interact much with the Contractors or Pavlov community. But in Veil, you're also an extremely good player. Sadly, though, I haven't
Yep.
really seen you on many top teams. I don't really
Nope.
know why that is. I don't know if you haven't been able to join them or if they just don't fit your
I don't want
vibe.
to play, really. That's it. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I think it was around it was September 11th. That's when the ranked server went online. And then I just started playing ranked. I mean, you guys know I was when I first started, I'm pretty sure Taquito played enough matches with me to know I was a complete bot. I was terrible. This is
Yeah.
when I was just
Yeah, I
learning
think I
freehand
remember too.
along with my contractor skill. My freehand was semi decent. And eventually over time though, I got really good. I got master. I dropped like back to back to back 30 bombs at one point. It got really good. I played for Eternity, and then I left Eternity to join Barnyard, but then nobody on Barnyard actually wanted to play Veil, so we just destroyed Eternity for no reason. And then Eternity merged with Apex, and then I joined Apex. But then nobody on Apex wanted to play because all of them hated the game, and the people from Eternity that were on Apex weren't enough to make up a whole entire team. So Apex
Yeah.
never played the I think the December circuit for Crest,
Yeah.
and then at that point, I kind of just stopped with Vail and continued pursuing Contractors, and then kind of at that point around December, that's when I just flat out. That's kind of where my history ends with my leagues. Uh, Minus X8, forgot to explain that. We got second place in that. That's when I met Acer, and that's kind of why I'm here now, was because of X8. But yeah, once December came around, I started working on my next documentary, and I kind of put that on hold because I had a better idea. That's when I wanted to start making just making content, because that's kind of what I like to do. I never was a video editor before, but I always liked making videos. I had tons of videos before on my YouTube channel. I had a previous documentary that I made, which is still up, and that got, I think, 1.4 thousand views. It was very, very well received by a lot
Damn.
of people, even though it was pretty low quality. I was like the first person to kind of do something like that. And that's when I kind of made my tier list, which is,
Yeah.
I guess, one of
The
the
A
infamous tier
big
list.
topic.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So you made the tier list, and a lot of people were not happy with it for whatever reason, you know. So how did it? I was dealing with that. Like after making the tier list, how I was dealing with the people in
Well,
your DMs
it was
getting upset.
quite the experience, because that video now, combined with the video uploaded and the original live stream, now has more than 1,000. I think 1,100 views right now.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And yeah, that really got a lot of people's attention because it was a lot of VR players. I took every single profile picture, every person I can. That's what made it so interesting, because people are like, "What if I'm on here?" He's like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
grabbed so many
exactly.
different players. There's so many players on here. That's what kept the retention for the live stream up. There was a peak of 60 viewers. 60 viewers, that's higher than some matches, than
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
lots of matches. I've seen Vail streams hit 30, Contractors hit 30, Pavlov hit 30. They all hit like 20 to 50, somewhere in that range, depending. And then I'm over here with 60 views on it,
60, yeah,
or
it's
60
insane.
viewers. And I'm just like, wow. And the chat was active. People were helping me with rankings, and people were
Yeah, yeah.
submitting their profile pictures. And as you guys know, the first video got taken down because somebody really didn't like their placing, so they copyrighted my video. So I had to remake
Oh
it,
my
which
god.
I'm actually, yeah, I'm glad I remade it, because I got to do more players that I forgot, and that's the one that was a lot more anticipated, a lot bigger.
Yeah,
The old
yeah.
one had a peak
Uh-huh.
of 45, and then the newer one, the newer stream, had 60. And then
Yeah,
that's the
I feel
one
like
where
the
most of the
first
angry
one got
people
like
came from.
yeah, I feel like the first one it got a lot of like the attention from people. They're like, "Oh, this guy just made like a tier list. You think you're in it and stuff like that."
Mhm.
And then you made the second one, so then people are like, "Okay, now I really want to watch this to see what
Yeah,
he
yeah.
does." You
Yep,
know?
that's
I
what really
couldn't
kept the
more.
So
retention up for that. And I won't name any names except for one person who I probably can name. Hopefully, it won't have to be cut out. I don't think it will. But yeah, I
you
did
can
have to
bleep it out.
deal with a lot of people who are rated in the D or lower range getting quite angry at me.
Uh huh.
And one guy by the name of, who, if you are a Pavlov player, you will know this guy. Everybody calls him a complete schizophrenic. He threatened to take my video down because of YouTube terms of service. He said I broke terms of service. I'm pretty sure he's the one who got or my original video taken down, and he DM'd me and then blocked me, as petty as that was, saying that
Oh
he
my
would
god.
take my video down.
Yeah, Jesus.
And yeah, it's because I put him in the subhuman tier, which is where a lot of I put a lot of
Yeah, I
people who are
mean,
generally frowned upon in the community in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I saw parts of it, and I guess that trolling is what some people really didn't like, where you had like a subhuman tier.
Yep.
But even then, I think that someone who's played, I mean, as someone who has played a lot of VR, I think it's a pretty good tier list. Especially coming from you, someone who has played in the top teams in like 4 or 5 different VR games. I'd say that your view on a lot of different VR players is definitely very accurate, which
Yep,
makes it really
that's
interesting.
I really wanted to get it as accurate as I possibly
Yeah,
can. I was asking opinion upon opinion on things. I was asking Clev, Orzo, Tech, where I should place some of the Pop 1 players.
Top one, yeah.
I asked you two, I think, for opinions on where to play some of the Hyperdash and Rec Room players. I had T and Chuma help me out. T helped me out with some Vail players. Chuma helped me out with some of the older day Pavlov players I never got to encounter. And that helped make the list a lot better, along with me being generally a really good shot caller and analyst. It was usually my job in game that I would analyze the enemy's play. So I really took that into heart, and I would analyze people completely. That's what made me such a good Pavlov player. Sometimes I would just predict people's movements down to the wire, and that's what would give us our team such great wins sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that on the numbers too. As you said, it had like what, 1,000
plus
views?
as of now.
Right. And the thing is, those aren't your everyday YouTuber people, clicking some random video. Those are active, competitive players that really wanted to watch your video. So, I mean, who knows how many communities this video has been in. I think
that's the thing. My views average a spectacular amount, honestly, for being in the VR community. My past videos, some of them 500, 600, 700, and no video of mine I don't think has ever gone below 200, except for maybe VODs. Nobody really cares about those, but those are all privated when I upload them a couple weeks after I upload them. And so pretty much after doing this tier list, that's when I decided to announce that I was doing a Codi-Week, which pretty much until a certain date, I was going to be releasing a weekly video until I retired, which is currently going on right now. And that's when my second video came out, which was quite the interesting one.
Oh,
I had a specific plan in place when I released that one, but I'd say it was really well received. Even though I was
explain the story behind that one, because I think it's
the story. Yeah, that one really needs context. I've actually never explained why. So for those who don't know, the video is called "I Have No Regrets," and it was pretty much just a playthrough of me playing this game called Viva Project, which I will not explain what it is. You can go search that up for yourself. And pretty much the plan of it was just to make a video that would seem completely normal at first, and slowly over time, it would just get more and more mentally breaking over time. The editing would start having audio reverbs. There would start being darker colors and less saturated themes going on. And I myself would start breaking down in it. And pretty much I started acting that out a bit until towards the end, which is when I completely lost it. But it was a very great video in my opinion. It really got a lot of people's, because its viewer to comment ratio is huge.
Yeah. I'm sure we can put it down in the comment section or down in the description.
Well,
I mean, I recommend to watch
all my videos down there.
Watch that.
But heavily recommend that video.
Yeah, it was a really good video, and I like how it ended with like a little song that I'm guessing, was it an original song that you came up with?
Yeah, it was an original song I came up with. The the lyrics, the song, no, it's a song from Super Mario Galaxy 2, one of my favorite games of all time. And I was like, I needed a simple song, and then I was like, how do I really end this? How do I like really put like the salt in the wound? Because I wanted to end it with the part where I fired the firework at myself, and then the screen turned black. I just wanted it to end there. But then after that, I pretty much faded it back in, and then that's when the song started. I was like, oh, this would be a really good idea, because there was an original cut of me singing. Like I was just singing to sing. I was like, wait, this could be really good to just like weird people out. This could really get their attention. Like one last stand.
Definitely succeeded in that.
I did. I'm sure I made tons of people comfortable. Tons of people.
Yeah. I mean, it was personally my favorite.
I'm pretty sure it has 300 views and then 39 comments. That's more than the more than the comments on my tier list. Both videos combined. 39 comments of people just saying, "What the heck, Codiak?"
Yeah,
like there were some repeats too. There were some like repeat comments of just like, "What is this, Codiak?" I'm pretty sure 3 people said that exact thing. So that one was a banger. And then after that, next week, I did the team tier list, which was pretty much same thing as the player tier list, but I did 155 teams instead of 488 players. That one wasn't as well received because it wasn't as personal, and it was pretty much a replica. You know, if you replicate anything, it's not really going to get that much more attention. but I thought it was good. It was like the most recommended thing after the player tier list. People wanted a team tier list because obviously
Yeah.
that's the next step to go from players. And it was my last tier list. I'd say it went out pretty well. I had players help me out with the onward teams, some with the hyperdash teams. Uh, while I don't believe it's as accurate because there's a whole lot of problems with like rosters changing over time,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
skill levels during certain times being different. For example, Strive ruling all of Contractors in its early days, and then Apex ruling all of Contractors in the later days. But I had to still put them both at S plus tier because they never faced each other, and we won't really know how they went out. They only faced each other once before Strive got banned, and a lot of other examples like Pavlov teams, older Pavlov teams having to be placed, and it was just an entire mess. A lot of people, I'd say that one was worse received, but less hate comments, less personal hate comments. More people were just
Uh-huh.
kind of like, I don't think it's a good idea to mix these teams together. And as of right now, that is the last video up. My next video after this will be the Codiak slander video, which I think will be a very great video. It'll
Yeah, I
take
can't
pretty
wait.
much, yeah, just classic slander video, classic slander templates. It'll
Yeah.
involve a bunch of different communities, so people who have met me, they can all relate. Players from all the way back from PCL to all the way up to now would all be able to find something that they've personally seen from me. And then after that, I'm releasing a really, really big video just called the Ultimate Aim Tutorial, which being one of the best aimers in VR, I pride myself in, both freehand and controller stacking. I think it's going to be pretty well because there's no actual tutorials by anybody that ever
Yeah,
explains the
yeah.
technique of aiming. There's basic aim tutorials like, flick your hands up like this, or to
Yeah.
practice this, you do this. I want to really go deep into basic explanations. I want to explain the stuff basically. I want to explain the science behind muscle memory. I want to explain how you can better certain skills like tracing, flick ups to like the most high possible level. And
Yeah.
for both controller stacking and freehand, so it'll be pretty big.
Yeah, no,
And for
that
those
sounds
of
like really cool. It would be
Yep.
one of those videos that you would definitely look back on, like maybe people making
right,
some type of game tutorial, maybe like a Vail tutorial. Could
right.
link back to like if you guys want some more tips on aiming, you can watch Kodiak's video, like that goes really in depth. So
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
something like that would be really really cool to see.
Do you have any any practice maps or any games that people can practice in to practice their
Oh
aim?
yeah, tons. I have tons of recommendations. I guess for the people watching, I'd recommend if you have Pavlov for PCVR, download Sphinx Aim World. That is the best aim trainer. I know it's not accessible to a lot of people, Quest players and players who don't own Pavlov, but it is made by the best controller stacker ever, who had some of the best aim I've ever seen in VR. And there's Fubar's Aim Trainer. If you have Contractors, I would recommend getting that because it is probably the best freehand aim trainer. The other one's really good for controller stacking and stock. Fubar's very great for freehanding. I would definitely recommend those for aim training.
So
And
after the aim train video, I mean, what
well,
comes after that? I mean, you're
well, the
hinting
people
at
who have
like
I've teased all these videos in my bio, and it just says
yeah.
question mark question mark question mark. While I have only revealed what it will be about to one person, I will just say this publicly right now. It's pretty much just going to be my retirement video, and I'm just I'm just going to retire. Quite simply, it's probably going to be podcast styled like this. I don't think it'll be very big, but I
Uh-huh.
mean, I think it'll have a lot of views, but it won't be that long. It'll just be pretty short. There will be a couple of actually really interesting reveals that I'm going to do, multiple of which I think a lot of people from different communities will find quite interesting. And it's not really the retirement. Some might think when I say retire, in other people's light, retirement might mean to stop competing. But as I've
Yeah,
explained
makes
before, I'm
sense.
competing nowhere. So what would
Yeah.
retirement mean for me? Pretty much all I'm saying is I'm just going to be leaving for good. It's going to be
Just the entire
just a goodbye
scene.
message. Yep, to a couple of people that I like, a couple of my good friends, to the general community, and then I'm gonna go full on ghost from there on out. It's just gonna be radio silence. I won't reply to anybody. I won't say anything, but I will return. I will say that. I will wait.
Oh,
I will give the leagues a couple of months because right now I personally do not like the state of most of the leagues right now. There's not much to entertain me. So I will give maybe half a year before I return. And during that time, I'm going to be working on the second documentary, which was supposed to release on the date of the retirement video. But that video is going to be so much more bigger than I thought that it's going to have to take multiple months to work on because there's multiple 3D animated scenes. There's going to be
Jesus.
animations. Yeah, it's going to be fully animated, the entire thing, not like my old documentary where I threw on background footage of Pavlov Shack and then talked over my history. It's fully animated with different segments and sections and lots of lore and hidden details that a lot of people from different communities will notice, which actually I'm doing right now with my profile pictures. I'm pretty sure you two have noticed that I do change my
Yeah,
profile
you
picture.
changed
A lot
Yeah.
of people will notice that. And if you notice, uh, lots of them hint towards lots of events I do, mainly towards videos. Like for pub Pavloving, that was like the first big video I released in a long time. Uh, I pretty much a lot of different segments and images from that video I would change to my profile picture over time. And then for my I have no regrets video, I took the Mr. Incredibles becoming uncanny and slowly over time every day until the release of that video, I would make my profile picture the next stage of one of those profile pictures pretty much
That makes a
until
lot
it
more
finally got
yeah.
to
sense
the
now.
I
last one.
definitely I noticed that one. That was so funny watching
Yeah, I
that
thought that was
the
a
process of
fun
it.
little
I was
detail
just
to
like,
add.
is it gonna get worse than this? I was like, I can't wait.
And then my profile picture right now, I won't spoil it, but it's changing for sure. And it's
Okay.
I will say this, it's leading up to the final video. So
Oh,
Hey, one hell of a show for sure. I mean, seems like
exactly,
you have
yeah.
it all planned out. And I
Yep.
mean, I can
yeah.
say this, it's sad to see you go. I'm hoping that you come back to a better community and some better leagues in half
Yeah,
a
I'm
year or so.
open as well.
A new community. Probably your name will be like. I don't think you'd be forgotten. I feel like
I
you'd
won't
be
be
one of
Absolutely
forgotten.
those
No,
not.
no,
people.
no, no. Absolutely
People
not.
will
But
know you.
people
It'll
will
be like a
definitely
Yeah.
like when I come back, there's definitely going to be a lot of people who are like, "Oh my gosh, he
yeah.
just talked. Kodiak, you're back. It's great to see you."
It's like
Because
no
I
way
mean,
he's
after half a
back.
year or so, or whenever I
Yeah.
release my documentary, which will be at minimum 4 months from now, that's still going to be quite a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Uh huh.
I mean, it'd be nice to see how people react to me being back, but it's still going to be pretty sad leaving a bunch of my good friends behind. Because
Yeah.
I made a lot of good friends in these communities, and I have like tons of people. Especially when I dropped from Pavlov, I met a lot of really great players, like a lot of players from Apex, a lot of players from Acer, a lot of players from different teams of different games, like Eternity, who I was on, Anarchy, who I was also on, and yeah, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to all them because I want to focus on college. I want to focus on that video. I want to focus on pretty much my real life because I
Uh huh.
liked devoting lots of time to this, and it's just not worth it anymore. If I'm gonna be honest, I got my goals. I wanted to become the best Pavlov player at some point, and when I got that, I kind of strived for more. I wanted to become the best VR player, which I'd say I got pretty close to.
Yeah, for
Especially like
sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like honestly, if I had a few more months, I would have probably got there because right now I feel my freehand is like that's all I needed. I needed to be a good freehander. Controller stacking will not transfer into other games and will not like
Yeah, yeah.
transfer over your skill set as a VR player. You need to know stock or freehand so you can play games like Breachers, Contractors, and Vail, which kind of slowed me down a bit, but I was happy I finally got to learn it. But yeah,
Uh
I'll
huh.
never see that end because there's no motivation. Like long time ago, I was like, if I become the best VR player, that's gonna be great. I can win everything. I can be like renowned and stuff. And then
Yeah.
as the months went on, becoming the best went from like the highest prestige that I could have to just meaning nothing to me. Like right now,
Yeah,
being the
makes
best
sense.
Pavlov player, it does not mean anything to me right now. And it's not even fun being the best Pavlov player because the skill ceiling has lowered a bit. So now any good player that was 1v1 me so far, they have all gotten 15 points or more behind me in a 1v1. Out of like maybe the 30 people I've 1v1'd since I became the best, only one person has gotten less than 15 points within me. So yeah,
Damn.
it's pretty boring at the top, as fun as it seems to strive for. I have a lot of Shaq players actually who come into my DMs and they want training from me, and they're like, I want to become the best Pavlov Shaq player, and I look back at them, I was like that at one point. It's kind of
I
funny
was
to
like
see how
you
like
once.
my own legacy, how my own legacy is like
It's
reflected
fun.
onto
Yeah,
somebody else, and seeing how they tackle their own journey.
yeah. History
Yeah.
repeats itself.
I mean, it's something you see a lot with a lot of like top teams, top players. Once they reach a certain point, they kind of just stop playing the game because it might be they just probably overplayed a little too much. They get burnt out, or they feel like they're at the top. They already reached the top. They feel comfortable, right? They get too comfortable, and then they stop playing, and then you kind of see them dwindle down a little bit. So that's a big issue with some players. Just finding motivation to continue playing after being at the top for a while.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these last few, what is it, like 2 more weeks of your journey, your videos
2.5 more
go?
weeks now. My next video will be
2.5?
coming out, I think, 4 or 5 days from now, and then the next final 2 weeks, which will be my 2 bigger and then my biggest video. And then yeah, that'll be it. I'm hoping Vail has another LAN. If actually if any VR game has a LAN, that is the only way I will return to the community early. If there is a LAN for any game, I will hop on that immediately and I will just start grinding.
Yep.
So yeah, but as
Yeah,
things
no,
look
that's
right
fair.
now, Vail is not. They're not in the most promising state for what they've given us. They said they'd give us Gamers 8. They said they'd give us the G2 meeting. I don't want to call them out specifically. I know it's kind of hard because they're like the only game who has accomplished stuff like this. They accomplished the Miami Vail Major, so we kind of expected stuff from them. But yeah, Vail does their own things. I'm hoping they do bring some sort of LAN. But yeah, maybe some other game. But from what it looks like, VRML doesn't care for a Pavlov LAN or growing that. Contractors, that's just its own mess. It's dead. The communities are kind of too close knit with each other, and there's no real sponsors or real leagues there. And Breachers is kind of the only hope, but I don't want to play Breachers. I don't think it's a fun game.
Understandable.
I don't think a LAN would be fun. And so yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about the whole
Yeah,
retirement part.
VR Esports is not at a state where you can actually make a living off it compared to other flat screen games, but
Yep.
it
a
can
big
definitely
hobby to
get
all
to
of
that
us.
point. It depends how the VR market continues and how it grows and how accessible it becomes. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing is the whole Quest 3 kind of bombing, but I don't believe like VR is in a downhill right now. Everybody knows that. Like 2020, 2021, everything was going up. 2022, everything was high. End of 2022, October, Miami Vail Major, things were looking great. And then all of 2023 was just an absolute downhill like mess. Every league died that was once known as huge leagues. Contractors, Vail, Pavlov, just completely hit the floor with that. We saw only Breachers come up, and that was it. Nothing huge. It
Yep.
was we lost a lot of good players. A lot of good players started retiring too. So yeah, I'm hoping 2024 is the opposite. I hope the Quest 3 Lite, which is going to be like $200. I hope that is a really good success. I hope that brings tons of players who want to get PC VR, who want to get a actual Quest 3 or get the Quest 4. Actually, no, that won't come out until 2025. But just pretty much more players. That's all we need. Like
Yeah, more players,
for
more
sure.
advertisement for the esports scene, and I mean, yeah, more money, right? Who doesn't want money?
yeah, money.
Oh yeah.
Vail
But anyways,
$10,000 VRML tourney. That won't be a mess.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, I think we're pretty much reaching the end of the podcast here. Thank you, Codiak. It's been nice learning the history of the most infamous VR esports player so far, and
So far,
it'll be interesting to see
I
what the
think it'd be
future has
pretty
in store
hard to
for
beat
you.
my record.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, anyways, I'll link all the videos that Codiak has posted so far in the description, as well as his YouTube channel. If you guys want to go and check that out. But yeah, any final thoughts, final questions? Shit. All right, well,
We will
thank you,
miss you,
Codiak.
Codiak.
Yep, no
Yeah,
problem.
we're all gonna miss you. especially here at Acer.
Yeah, I know
we
there's a
love
lot.
it.
Yeah,
There's
Acer
so many,
especially,
like, a lot of my good friends are just in my DMs every single day. They're like, "Dude, don't go. You're such a fun person to be around."
I mean, here at Acer, we even call you our mascot at times. So it's gonna be sad seeing you go. But you
I
know,
don't think he's gonna
I'm-
miss that.
yeah.
But
maybe not.
Acer Incorporated
But
won't be
it's gonna
alive
be
without
sad.
me. Who's gonna be
That's
there
true,
to
that's
instigate
true.
random arguments or post
Yeah, for
stupid
sure.
memes?
right.
And same thing with a lot of other games like Pavlov Contractors. The contractors won't have me to hackuzate in pubs.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
we did
Right.
talk about that, but I guess we're out of time. That's its own story
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, that's a whole
Uh,
different topic, maybe for the return of
yeah.
Codiak in half a year from now.
Yeah,
Pavlov
part
won't have
two.
people to accuse of alting anymore, even though because every time there's an alt in Pavlov, people assume it's me, even though it hasn't been for quite a long time. And a lot of the good Pavlov players I made friends with, a lot of my former teammates and stuff, they've really wanted to keep me staying, but
Yeah.
guess that's it.
Yep. Well, anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys made it all the way to the end, thank you again. If you haven't, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you can get notified of our well, we attempt to do weekly posts, but we try our best. Hopefully we'll see Odd in the next episode if he's done doing his furry activities. But yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next week, the next episode. Codiak died. Bye bye.